To begin with, maybe I would like to ask you to all come a little closer, since we are not so many here. This creates a bit more of a personal atmosphere. So, as you may all remember, we have kind of established the tradition that we want to give our respected guests a little gift. And usually we do this at the very end of the festival, but since His Holiness Maharaj has to leave tomorrow, and then the next day after Pragosh Prabhu has to leave, so that's why we decided we do it a little different this year, and we have the little gift-giving ceremony now. Just to conclude the loving exchange of giving and accepting prasadam, and here confidential knowledge, wisdom, and crying confidentially. So we want to complete the loving exchange by giving a little gift. So, and as usual, we do make quite a bit of effort. We put some meditation and thought into what we can give our respected guests. We want to give something a little practical, something that reminds them of Scandinavia or of our festival here, something personal. So we've been thinking for quite some time about what we can give this year. So let us remember, first of all, the sense of hearing is so super important. There is a nice analogy in the Shastra that the ear is like a yagya pit, and the transcendental sound of the holy name or Krishna Katha is like the ghee, which is poured on the yagya pit through the spoon, the ladle of the tongue, right? And so when the ladle of the tongue pours that ghee of transcendental sound onto the fire pit of the ear, then it flows into the heart and it makes the fire of devotion burn very brightly and thus cleanse the heart and bring joy. And this is exactly what we have been experiencing. So we do want to offer some little menial service in return. We are actually beggars, we don't really have much to offer. But after every yagya, there is a little bit of cleansing to be done. So we want to, some of you remember the gift. We also gave it to our guests last year. This is one part of the gift. We have a whole bag of little goodies there. So the first part is this packet of ear candles. Just a humble menial service to the yagya pit there of the ear. I don't know if you know how this works. Actually, they are even made by devotees.
You gave them to me 20 years ago.
I had all forgotten about that. When was that? How many years ago?
At least 20.
20? Really? My God, I had completely forgotten about it. Anyway, so, but some of you might not know this, how it works, and the instruction, it's actually produced by devotees in Tallinn, and the instruction on the packet is in Estonian. So you might just not know what to do with it, so I had to clean it or something. So that's why I quickly show you. This is, it looks like this, and you will need a little bit of help. We lie down on the side, we need an assistant to hold this in our ear, and then we light the end. And through the burning, it actually, in a very gentle way, it warms up the inner ear, and through the burning there is this chimney effect, sucking out all kinds of obstructions there which might be blocking.
What was
At least, at least we can only remove the material blockages there. We are not in the position to remove anything else. So, but in any case, I thought this is something practical, which is quite nice to have, and it's not bad to do this once a year. And if you don't need it, you can always pass it on, of course. So this is the gift number 1 in this bag. Then we have something else. We have a bead bag made by the devotees with ISKCON 50th anniversary here. Scandinavian Bhakti Sangam. And it is all handmade by Sri Mataji and Krishna Bhakti Mataji, full of Krishna Bhakti. For those who don't know who Krishna Bhakti is, this is Janeshwar Prabhu's wife. Is she here?
She's in the shop.
She is in the shop. So they were making this. And not only that, we have some counter beads which are made from jewelry from our Panchatattva. So they were wearing this for many years. Some counter beads are made with tulsi beads, so even the tulsi beads are part of jewelry which they were wearing. Yes, so this is the main gift. Just so you remember us here in this lost and forgotten corner of the world, and maybe keep us in your prayers, and maybe even one day if you're inspired to come and visit us again. Who knows? And then we also have a little packet with Mahaprasadam, and this is all no sugar. Yes, all kinds of yummy things there. And then we also have one cute little thing. Where is it? So there is also some influencer tea. Also from locally grown herbs, influencer tea. So it's tea which you take when you have a flu, when the flu is coming out or cold. So Krishna Bhakti Mataji, she is growing these herbs, she collected them, she dried them, she mixed them, she even wrote a little card with all the ingredients there, what kind of herbs are in there, full of Krishna Bhakti and motherly affection, just in case you have a flu coming, you can have some tea there. Okay, so now we need some devotees to give the gift. Come here. Usually we actually get the kids involved, but somehow they're always swimming and we get the older kids. Hang on. Yes, because actually the bead bags are in 2 different colors. This is just somewhat in white. And yeah, for the marges we have a saffron one. Yes, come here, girls. Come here. This is for one of the marges for Smita Krishna Maharaj. Okay, so this one you give, hang on, you give to add one more. Yes, this goes to Dina Bandu Peru. You can do it together. Dina Bandu Peru. So, and now we have the last one. The influencer tea is coming later. It's lost in my room, but they're just now coming.
I'll try getting
You
it.
give this to Marge. Okay, so that was topic number one. We have a couple more little things I quickly want to bring some attention to it before we start with the kirtan. So, there comes the influencer tea. Please. Yes, so as you may remember, already for the last 3 years, we have actually abolished the festival fees and we have abolished the prasadam fees. But this does not mean it's all for free. As Ranjan Maharaj was yesterday morning giving such a wonderful talk, how this oil developed in Ukraine, that there's no festival fees, no prasadam fees. So we have also made some humble effort. It doesn't mean it's all for free. It doesn't mean it's already all paid. The reason why we're doing it is simply to help each other to cultivate the mood of giving. Because this is a very important part of Vaishnav life. Vaishnav mood is, how can I give? How can I serve? How can I contribute? How can I donate and help? That's the culture. Whereas a materialist, he thinks, what can I get for myself? If possible, by not giving anything or a discount. That's success for a materialistic person. But for Vaishnava, the more he or she can give, the more successful we consider ourselves to be. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, we don't read anything about festival fees or prasadam coupons or something. Everybody simply wants to give and contribute. And if everybody has that mood, then everything is plentiful there. Then we don't need to charge. So this is the mood we try to establish. And yes, I simply wanted to remind everybody that this is actually such wonderful service to feed the devotees, to feed the Vaishnavas. This is one of the easiest and most simple way of serving and actually getting the Vaishnavas' blessings. And the Lord, there's even verses which describe that the Lord is so pleased when he sees his devotees eating. So that will attract Krishna's merciful glance upon us if we serve and please the devotees. So we have already a few people who stepped forward and who sponsored one meal. Out on the board there you can see how much a breakfast is, how much a lunch, how much evening prasadam. So I simply want to quickly share with you who has already stepped forward and eagerly is participating in this mood of serving the devotees. So we have Anjaneya Prabhu and his good wife Jadava Mataji. They have been giving so many organic vegetables. They are our gardeners here. They're growing organic vegetables and supplying shops and markets and so on, and also the temple as well. So they have given so many vegetables already, so that's really nice. And then also Janananda Prabhu and Madhuri Radhika Mataji from Koshnas. They are feeding us with one lunch. And Mohini Shakti Mataji from Malmö, she is almost feeding us with one breakfast. Tiny little bit short, but always. The smaller donations, we don't have the time to read them out. Then we have one person, Niber Tornesk from Norway. I'm not even sure whether this is a man or a lady. A lady, sorry. Yes, so she is feeding us with one lunch. Then we have Uffe and Raya Mataji from Stockholm. They are also feeding us with even more than one breakfast, a sumptuous breakfast. Then we have Tribanga Prabhu and his good wife Maria Harikunda Mataji. They're also giving more than one breakfast. And then we have one anonymous person who is feeding us with one evening meal, and one also anonymous person who is feeding us with one lunch. So this is a good start. But we do still have a few holes there, a few lunches, breakfasts, evening meals, which are not covered yet. So I simply want to very much encourage you to join into this mood of giving and feeding the Vaishnavas. And you can even make a group from your yatra, you get together and you feed the devotees for one meal or something. Okay? So then one last little thing I would like to share. This year, it's the 6th year that we have this. We call it the Scandinavian Bhakti Sangam. And it actually will be the last year where I will be able to participate. So I simply wanted to announce this, that next year I will not be able to take part. I've got other things where I have commitments to serve and to some obligations. I'm simply moving on. And yes, I would like to try and as gracefully as I somehow can to actually hand this whole festival really over into your hands. Yes. And one realization came to me when I was pondering how I could present this to you. This realization hit me that unless we are serving with detachment, very easily we can become stagnant. Our own material attachments block us from moving forward. And not only they block ourselves, but very easily they block others around us. Right? It's interesting to observe. Very often we only move forward when we are forced to, either through a health crisis, we move aside, or through some conflicts that people really want to get rid of us. But I don't like to work like this. I definitely don't want to become stagnant, and I definitely don't want to block others around me and block them from moving forward. I really don't want to do this. And I'm actually very convinced that by now, by me stepping aside, this will really open so many opportunities for all of you to actually move forward and get absorbed in helping and being a more active part of this festival. Because this festival really needs it. We have only a very small group of core people. This is basically Lokanath Prabhu and his good wife Dharmeshwari Mataji and Sri Priya Mataji. They're like the core team. Of course there is other people also who are helping, but they are actually the core team. And one thing I want to share, I hope Dharmeshwari Mataji doesn't mind me sharing this, I have really observed, she is just so absorbed in this Bhakti Sangam festival. I mean, the whole year she's meditating on this. I'm bombarded by messages from her. Oh, what about this? What about that? We have to talk on Skype. I was saying to her, if it wasn't for the Bhakti Sangam, her life would almost be a little empty and boring. No, it's really like that. And I simply want to share with you, this is actually where the nectar lies. if we really get absorbed in some mission, some ways, if we flood our minds with thoughts and plans how to serve the devotees, how to make it nicer, how to improve it, this is such a joyful absorption actually, and really gives some deeper meaning to our life. And of course there's also a few anxieties there. We can talk a lot about that. But even the anxieties, ultimately they are actually bliss. They are not mundane anxieties. They're actually Krishna anxiety. It's happiness, it's joy actually. And I really hope and wish and pray that more and more of you devotees will step forward and you will taste this special absorption in being part of this Bhakti Sangam and making some more active contribution, and especially flood the minds with plans how to make it nicer. Then there's simply no room for any kinds of plans for sense gratification if we flood our mind with plans how to serve the devotees. So yes, I simply wanted to share this with all of you. And also I wanted to really thank you all for giving me this opportunity to serve you all. It was really a very wonderful absorption for me. I'm also the kind of person who really gets absorbed in things. And it was very joyful, very purifying, very wonderful, and yes, so I simply want to thank you for allowing me to serve you, and I want to ask for forgiveness for whatever little or bigger offenses I might have committed, knowingly, unknowingly. I know I'm not always such an easy person to handle and tolerate because of my intensity, so kindly forgive me. And yes, and I'm simply hoping that, and I'm actually convinced that now it is exactly the perfect timing to hand this over. And I spoke to Pragosh Prabhu already, and he is very enthusiastic to also become more part of it and be here and invite different personalities to come, and I can already visualize that it will become greater and greater, and more people from all the Scandinavian countries will come, and it will have a more and more uniting effect, and it will become a little replica of what Nectar is going there in Ukraine. And even that His Holiness Narendra Swami was here this year, I think this is also just fitting perfectly, because it was always my dream that once he would come, and he gave such wonderful talk yesterday and this morning, and I feel it deeply inspired us all to carry on this mission. Okay, so I think now it is time for kirtan.